Welcome to another episode of the Elite Agent Masterclass. Today, myself and Jack Durkin, co-founders of the Elite Agent Masterclass, are going to dive deep into habits and hacks that we use on a day-to-day basis. Now, before we hit record, Jack, we went, is there that many things that we can share here? Are there? And we started to pick them apart. Like, actually, there are loads. And this episode, it could be quite long. Your anticipation is it might be a bit on the shorter side. But I think as soon as we start asking questions and start unpacking stuff, we're like, oh, yeah, we do that. Because they're habits, they go under the radar. They become subconscious. And so I'm keen, especially with you, because you're quite a habitual character, I'm keen to really start to pick at that. So give us one of your headline habits.
I think to be fair, mine will start with my morning routine. And I think you're right. When we're discussing it before, because you do them so repetitively, you don't think about it, you just do it. And when we was chatting off air, I said, look, I'm not sure there's that much we can go through here. But if we can really dive deep and remind ourselves what we're doing each day, then I think there's a lot to unpack. So I think mine starts with my morning routine, getting up as nice and early. I feel much better when I get up early and get my exercise done every single morning, gets me in the right head frame. Also getting out and getting some fresh air as well, going for a run. But I feel like my day is set up so much better when I do that, as opposed to just rolling out of bed, rolling into work and starting the day. So I think mine starts with my morning routine that usually consists of a run or going to the gym or some physical exercise. And then I also like to get into the office earlier now, so that I'm not getting straight in, rushing in, have a good 15 minutes of just preparing myself for the day rather than rushing in. I think the better you can prepare, the more success you'll have.
I love that. I think I can totally relate to the morning routine. And I think for clarity, I think it's important for people to understand that the morning routine doesn't always have to consist, because there's a lot of talk, isn't there, about get up early, go for a run, meditate, and all these sorts of things. And as much as I do subscribe to them, and I think they're great if they work for you, I think the point I wanted to make is they need to be what works for the individual. So if someone isn't a runner, then, for example, my morning routine, and I can speak about this from the point of view of being a dad as well as a business owner. If I can stick to the getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which I do it through choice. It's not because I want to be a part of the 5 a.m. club and all this, but my kids get up between 5:45 and 6:15. So for me, it's about having that 45 minutes to potentially an hour and a half maximum to myself. And what I do within that hour and a half, then it might be, I enjoy reading. So it might be reading for half an hour. I've got the cold dip tub, so hopping in there and, just spending a bit of time thinking rather than, I think the counterpoint, though, is things that I don't do in my morning routine. And I think you'd agree with this as well. I don't consume, I love my coffee. I've got a coffee machine, bean to cup. I've got the strongest espresso. Yeah, see, I've got the strongest espresso beans I can possibly lay my hands on. It's like double caffeinated beans, but I don't touch that for the first hour and a half of waking up. I do my absolute utmost not to look at my phone or any screen within the first hour and a half. There is a lot of science behind the impact that can then have on your brain and your focus for that day. And so I do my absolute utmost to avoid those things. So I think it's as much about what we don't do as what we do.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, very similar. It's having that you time at the start of the day, because I think as soon as you get into, as soon as everyone else starts getting up, then I feel as though you're always serving others. So you're going through your notifications, you're messaging people back because you want to respond to them. Then your family get up or your partner gets up and you're helping with housework, or you could then get into the office and you're helping one of your colleagues. And I think having that you time before anyone else is up. So that's why I like getting up a little bit earlier, because I get up before anyone else, have an hour or so of just me time, just doing what I want to do. And then it puts me in the best frame of mind and the best position to serve others. And I think, that's really important. If you can set your day up right, then you're onto a good day.
Totally agree. And the reason I said I can share it from a dad's perspective as well as a business owner is that there are days where the alarm goes off at 5, and because one of the kids has been up in the middle of the night, I'm like, I really just need an extra hour. And so then what happens is that extra hour that I take means I'm getting up at the same time as the kids. The problem I then have is, like you've just said, I'm immediately going into dad mode. I haven't had the ability to wake up properly. And some people can do that. Some people can, and I respect that. But I think what is a big part of this episode, and I think a big thing that people just need to take away from it, is do what works for you. If you can open your eyes and immediately go, bing, I'm on, and that not have a negative impact on the rest of your day, good for you. And credit to you. But I know I am absolutely not that person. I can't just go, bing, I need to have some me time to come around, to do a few things that set me right for the day. Because if I don't, it's almost like I feel like I'm frantically moving from task to task rather than calmly, moving through the day with poise and composure.
Yeah. And I think if anyone out there does just roll out and go straight into the day to day, I'd encourage them to just try it out, try reading, try doing some exercise, try even your cold tubs that you do. I quite enjoy, now that I'm at the David Lloyd, having 10 minutes just in the sauna, just to relax myself before I go into work mode, just so I can just have some peace, quiet, chill. Meditation, if you're into meditation, just something that's going to calm you and relax you before you get into the day. And I encourage people just to try it out and see if it makes a difference to your day.
Yeah, creating the calm, isn't it? It's creating the calm. And some people, I've got people in my immediate vicinity, not in the room, but in my vicinity, that I'm like, they are wired by societal norms. And what I mean by that is they are busy people. But I look at them and I go, okay, cool, you're getting through a tick list of jobs, but are you being that productive? Are you squeezing all the juice out of your day, or are you just checking boxes? And that's why, for me, that bit of calm time, and it's been spoken about between us as a group. I'm self-diagnosed, I think, around the whole ADHD thing. I've got a very busy brain, always moving at a million miles an hour. There's like 101 different ideas going through my head. So that morning routine, it also helps with calming that down and really dialing in on, okay, what's important today? We talked in a previous episode, didn't we, about the Kickstarter, and like, what's important to me today? What am I going to get to the end of the day of and reflect back and go, that was a super productive day.
Yeah, I think the kickstart was a really good exercise. If I go out for a morning walk or a morning run as well, it also, that, because I don't have access to my phone, I can't physically do anything because I'm on that run. I've got to get that run done first. I think you're right. It makes me then think, okay, I've had on this half an hour run or half an hour walk, what it is, I've had 10 ideas. Which are the best ones? And when I get back, I'm going to focus on those ones first and get those done. I think it just gives you that calm, doesn't it? I think for me, it all starts with setting the day up right. I think creating the right habits when you first wake up, I think sets you up for a really good day. What else, in terms of your day-to-day in your business, James, what else helps you stay organized, helps you stay on track, helps you stay productive?
Okay, where do I begin? I have no issue admitting this, because ultimately I think us being a bit raw and vulnerable with our weaknesses will help those people that can actually relate to those. So I'm going to be very open around the fact that I'm probably not the most organized person in the world. I'm very much a doer. And I look at it and I go, I want to be productive, but how can I get stuff done now? And sometimes that can create overwhelm, because we might be working on projects that require a length of time in order to complete the project. So I'll then look at the project as a whole and go, I want to do it all, and I want to do it all right now. So one of the big things for me is working out of my Outlook diary. So I've structured my diary into time blocks so that I have time dedicated to various projects. Preceding that, what I've started to do in the last few months is, if we're working on a project, sitting down, I've obviously got the whiteboard behind me, so either sitting down or working from the whiteboard and just kind of taking the headline title of the project and kind of going, okay, what are the steps that go into this? And chunking it down so that then I can work on them step by step, rather than just looking at the headline and going, shit, I've got loads to do here. So I think having time blocks in the diary is a start point, breaking big projects down. Then if I go to a slightly more granular level, day to day, if I've got something that requires my undivided attention, putting my phone in focus mode, putting headphones on, listening to binaural beats. So for anyone that doesn't know what binaural beats are, there are different wavelengths that our brain works to. And so you can put on a playlist on Spotify or Apple, whichever your favorite supplier is, and listen to binaural beats for focus. And the way in which it works is that then the sounds that are being played, it's just sounds. It's not music, it's just sounds. So those waves will then just connect with your brain waves. And I find it much easier to focus. And because I'm wearing noise cancelling headphones, I'm less distractible. And I think for me, it's about removing as many distractions as I can when I'm trying to do focused work. So if it's connected to my local business around doing lead gen, and it might be that I've got to write a letter, or I want to write some engaging content for social media, or whatever the case may be, where I really need to get into it and think about it, headphones on, binaural beats on, focus mode on the phone. And then one more, there are loads, but I'll give you one more just for now, is there's an app, plenty of them, but there's an app called OneSec. And I find that really useful. So if you have a tendency to be distractible, which I am, then OneSec means that you can essentially block apps on your phone, so it stops you from getting into them for a certain period of time. So if you have a tendency to kind of go, oh, this is becoming difficult, I'm just going to have a quick look at Instagram just to give me that little dopamine hit, might even give me some inspiration. As soon as you try and open the app, no chance. I find that helps.
I feel like you can be very disciplined around that, especially with a K-safe that you used to have as well, locking the phone away.
Yeah, K-safe.
Yeah.
But it's all about measures that I've put in place. So you referenced the K-safe. Because I've put OneSec in play, what OneSec is teaching me to do, because you can wait a certain period of time and it will then let you in. But because I'm impatient, I won't wait the amount of time. I'm like, actually, it gives me enough time to look at the phone and go, am I doing this with purpose, or am I doing it to distract myself? And the answer is generally to distract.
It becomes a habit, doesn't it, of just picking up your phone, looking at the notifications. And if you can, take that time, that extra couple of seconds, then, your subconscious is then.
It's all it takes. But if I start to get to a point, and this does happen, again, sharing my flaws, there are occasions where I'm like, I want to be distracted right now. I'm consciously making the decision to distract myself. So I'll wait. I'll wait the 30 seconds it takes for the app to allow me in. And I'll sit and just wait. When I'm getting into that headspace, that's when the K-safe comes into play. I'll put the phone in the K-safe. And then I'll set the timer. If it's for an hour, I can't get to it unless I smash that K-safe up. And I'm not going to smash the K-safe up. But I've put these measures in place because I want to be productive. I don't want to be, ultimately, look, the way I dial it back is I don't want to be that guy that's still working at 65. So all of the time that I can save now by not being distracted and procrastination and everything else is contributing towards my aim of being able to have a choice over how I spend my life 2-3 years from now. I'm 37. So I'm talking by the time I'm 40, I want to be in that position where I can choose what I'm doing, not 65. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it comes back to that bigger picture.
Yeah, I think you're very disciplined around that, and being open where I'm probably not quite as disciplined. Haven't braved buying a K-safe yet, or using the OneSec app just yet. But I do find that I can get everything done throughout the day, but I'm probably working longer hours. I'm probably having to work an extra couple of hours in the evening to make sure I can get everything done. So if you can dedicate that time and be disciplined around it, then you can be more productive, can't you?
And credit to you for being open about that, because I admire your graft, but because I have a young family now, I used to be that way. But I had to make a conscious decision when we launched the business of, what do I want from this? What's really, but we're at different stages, right? So for you can commit those extra hours now because you've got 8 years on me. So you're going to be much further ahead by the time you're 37 than I am. So
it's also, I've probably not got long left before we're going to have to start looking at family. So the pressure's on now.
you're putting in the shift now. So, but But that's the reason why I've put the measures in place as well, is that I want to be able to put work down at 5:30 every single day. It doesn't mean that of an evening, once the kids have gone to bed, that I might not just clean my day down at 7:30 till 8 o'clock and just clear my emails down, respond to any final messages, etc. But I don't want to be working into the evening. I want to have that time. I refuse to work Sundays. If someone wants to see me on a Sunday, there's more to life. I'd rather spend it with my family. And so having the structure that I've created enables me then to, look, I've not got it right. And anyone listening in, there's so many flaws in the things that I've got in play, but I'm always looking for ways to make them better and make my day more robust. But that's a few of the things that I've got in play. What about you?
I think quite similar. You touched on using your diary, Outlook diary. And it's, I think, a big part of helping me stay organised, because if I haven't got anything in my diary, then I can very easily procrastinate, and the day just runs away with me. Whereas if I've got things scheduled in my diary at certain times, as if they're appointments, then there is a much better chance of them getting done. And look, in all honesty, they don't always get done on the time, but I'll make sure by the end of the day, all of those things on my list that are in my diary are ticked off before the end of the day. If they have to get moved around, they get moved around, but they get done. And I think that's something we've been working with a lot of our agents on, and also our inner team as well, our internal team, the marketing guys, Holly, Michelle, helping them structure their diary up so that they are as productive as possible. And that's probably, I'd say that's probably my biggest golden nugget that I would share is use your diary and put everything into your diary as if it's an appointment, because there's a good chance it's going to get done a lot better, or more efficiently. We also have, I suppose, when it comes to our day-to-day of the business, Laura and I have a lot of things that we will look to try and do either each day or each week, and make sure we've got them ticked off throughout the week. So, for example, we'll send 1,000 letters out every single week, sometimes more, but a minimum of 1,000 letters each week. We try and hit 40 door knocks every single week, 30 social media posts, 10 Google reviews, and that is literally on the whiteboard in front of me. And every time we add one to the list, we add it on, and by the end of that week, we make sure they're all ticked off and they're all in green by the end of the week. So that's one thing we do consistently every single week in terms of lead gen. We started doing a lot of, so every 4 weeks now as well. And I know you're doing quite a similar thing in place as well, where we will have vendor contact every 4 weeks. It'll be a Loom video, or we'll go out and arrange to see the client, or we'll have a phone call with them. But every single week we've got, it's in the diary to follow it with the clients that we've got on the market with the market update.
I just wanted to qualify that for anyone listening, because the way you positioned it initially was like you're communicating with your clients once every 4 weeks. So just to qualify, you're speaking to them, you're communicating with them every week, but every 4 weeks it's some sort of physical communication. So it'd be a revisit, or
more in depth. So especially for the ones that are on the market and aren't getting huge amounts of interest, or they could just be unique properties, higher end of the market, and they will take that a little bit longer. And a lot of our sellers understand that. But I think it's really important that we make sure we keep them updated on what we're doing. So every 4 weeks, we'll send them a 5 to 10 minute video, or we'll go around and see them for 15 minutes, half an hour, and just go through what we've been doing in the background. Also what the market's looking like, what the competition's looking like, where we sit in terms of price. Is there anything we need to change? So go into quite a bit of detail in terms of what's happening in the market, and also what's been happening with the interest on their property as well, which I think the sellers really enjoy. They like to know that something's happening, something's going on, not that the property's just sitting still on the property portals and isn't getting any interest. So a few things that we've built into our day-to-day that help us stay on track, help us keep the wheels turning as well, because there's so many different plates to spin. You can have a tendency to go all in on your lead gen at one point and then take your foot off the gas. And then you've got so many clients to serve that are on the market. So you really focus on getting all your stock sold. Then you want to get it through to exchange and completion. So you spend all your time on sales progression. But I think dividing your week up and making sure that you've got your lead gen in throughout the week, you've got your vendor care booked in for that week, you've got your time where you're doing your sales progression, if you're doing your own sales progression, and then you can spin those plates a little bit easier.
I totally agree. And I think coming back to the diary structure, I think there's a lot more that can be unpacked there. Because I think time blocking is one thing. So I think the next thing that you made reference to is that you've got to allow yourself some flex. Sometimes something will happen. A fire will start raging away and you've got to attend to it. So the time block that you've got allocated to a thing that doesn't need to be done immediately will get pushed. But I think what's really, really important for people to then be able to do is have the ability to move it, don't delete it. So if it needs to be moved to later in the day, great. If it needs to be moved to tomorrow, also fine. Give yourself a deadline on it so that you're not just continually pushing stuff back, but just never delete it. And I think that then is, and I did this exercise a little while back where it was like, right, I kind of looked at my calendar, started with a blank piece of paper, worked out the hours that I wanted to commit to work. But before that, I put all of the things that were important to me first. So for me, it's about health, family, and happiness. And so work then comes after those three. So putting going to the gym into the diary first. Now, for me, going at 6, so get up at 5, go at 6, back for 7, whatever. Spending time with my kids every Tuesday morning, but when they first get up, I don't come to work until 10:30. So that's then in my diary. And so that then comes first, then working out how many hours you've got in your working week. But my advice to anyone that is looking at implementing this kind of a structure is don't absolutely ram your diary. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make. They go from like no diary structure to, okay, I'm going to fill it with 100% of things. My recommendation would be go for a 60-40 split. 70-30 possibly, but 60-40. And the 60% is things that go in the diary. The 40% is then white space, flex, space to move things, space for appointments even.
Yeah, we also as well with our local business will overbook the slot. So it might be we might spend an hour and a half at an appointment, but we'll book that at a 2-hour slot so that if it does run over, or if we want to spend a little bit more time prepping in advance, we'll extend the slots. We've got a little bit of time of prepping beforehand. The travel time goes into the diary as well, because you can stack your appointments back to back. But if you've ever done viewings on a Saturday and you're a busy viewer, you've got to make sure you've got time to get to the next appointment. Otherwise, you phone your appointment telling them you're 10 minutes behind. So making sure that you time block and add the time into travel, to plan and prepare, to follow up as well if you're following up, or you've got time to send your emails or your follow-up content after your appointments. I think that's really important. Like you said, cramming your diary up, you're going to get really deflated by the end of the week if you haven't got everything done, and you put some really important things in there. So yeah, if you can get 80% of your working week done, I think that's a successful week.
I totally agree. It's focusing on the big ticket items, isn't it? So making sure that you understand by the end of this week, what is really, really important that I get it done. And it won't be the thing that is a box tick exercise. It won't be. It'll be a much bigger ticket item. Having time blocks in, I suppose to some extent using the laser framework that we've built out. So allocating time in your diary for lead generation. So that might be creating the opportunity. It might be following up on old clients, whatever the case may be, but allocating time in your diary. And it doesn't need to be one big block. You've got to work on what suits you. If you're better at working in sprints, then it might be an hour every morning of the week. For other people, they're better at working in chunks of time. So it might be 5 hours on a Wednesday, for example. So really understanding what works for you. And that then leads on to my next, is it habit, is it a hack, or is it just understanding yourself? I think the next thing that I would say is, at what time of the day are you most engaged? Are you most productive? So I'm a morning person. So if I need to do thoughtful work, creative work, then I'm best served doing that between 9 and 12. I'm very comfortable at switching into people mode. So I can meet clients any time of the day and I'll just turn the curtain opens and the performance begins. So I could meet a client if I'm feeling a little bit more jaded or whatever else at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm better than being in front of people because I can turn it on. But if I'm trying to do creative work at 3:00 in the afternoon, I'll struggle a lot more. And so you've got to decide on what type of person are you? Are you more of a night owl? Are you someone that will get super creative at 8:00 of an evening? I mean, I'm about ready for bed at 8:00 of an evening. So that is the last time of the day that I would be doing creative work. So you've got to determine what type of person you are and then apply that to your working day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of marketers that Ben, for example, Tom Byron may agree, but some of them are night owls that they like doing the creative stuff of an evening, late at night. They get their creative juices flowing. Yeah, like I said, some people prefer doing that in the morning. So I think it just depends on what fits for you as the individual.
Yeah,
as well.
So a lot goes into the diary. There's so much more that we could share. And maybe we can come back to it. But are there any other sort of habits and hacks that you?
The one thing I've been saving is an app that we've been using for a little while now. Especially each time we go into creating big projects and breaking those projects down. And it's an app called Motion, which is an AI tool as well. So add your projects into Motion, create your tasks that go into that project. And Motion's very good. If you connect your Motion to your Outlook diary, it will then look for spaces in your diary and add the time slots in. So if you've got a 4-hour project, it will add half an hour in on a Monday at 10 o'clock. If you've got a space, it will then add another slot in on a Wednesday and kind of break that project down for you, and time block the space in that you need. It also allows you to tick the jobs off. It doesn't go unless you've actually completed the project as well, or the task, sorry. So
it moves it, doesn't it? It'll automatically move it to the next white space that gives you the time allocation. So if you dedicate 30 minutes to a task and you don't complete it, what it will automatically do is look at your diary and move it to the next 30-minute slot that's available in your calendar. So that's why then if you run your Outlook calendar in a really clean way, putting in time to have a lunch break so that you can eat, time to respond to emails and WhatsApps and text messages, I guess it's another hack, but it connects to motion in some ways, is you've got to start reconditioning your reaction to this thing. I'm obsessed with giving advice on the phone. For those that are listening, I'm waving my phone around when I say this thing, because we are gluttons for it, aren't we? You hear it ping. Like mine's always on silent, but I hear it vibrate. I'm going to turn the vibrations off on my phone. Hear it vibrate, and I'm like, oh, what is it? That's why focus mode is really handy. I've turned a lot of the notifications off on the apps, because every single app that you've got will ping you a notification. And I find I get one notification, I'm looking for it. It doesn't tend to be anything important, but there's no harm in letting those 5, 10, 8, 20 notifications build up throughout the day, and I'll just look at them all in a quick couple of minutes rather than keep checking it. But there's no reason why you can't put a 15-minute time block into your diary 3 times a day to respond to emails, pick up texts, WhatsApps. The clever thing is that this software is designed to gain your attention. That's the whole point. It's designed to become a distraction, to draw you in. That's how they monetize it, right? But equally, a lot of these apps also have ways that you can then control how they work. And what I mean by that is WhatsApp is a great example, WhatsApp for Business. Now, I haven't got this set right now, but the more we're talking, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put that back in place. And that's to have an autoresponder. Thanks for your message. Likelihood is I'm in appointments or meetings right now. I'll come back to you as soon as I can. If it's urgent, please ring me. And then you can put the same on an email. And then all of a sudden, people aren't expecting you to respond the way you have done before now. Because for those that are listening in, you could be victim of this. You get a message and you're like, I'm going to respond to that right now. And then habits start to form. But then what happens is the person on the receiving end of your messaging, it comes to expect you to respond that quickly. So if you're trying to change the habit, you've got to start to re-educate those people that you communicate with on a regular basis. Put an autoresponder on your emails. I'm the world's worst when it comes to emails. Anyone listening in, if you've ever emailed me, the likelihood of you getting a response within 3 days is slim to none. And I'm not afraid to admit it. Because if it's an email, it's like I prioritize in my mind the order of priority. If someone rings me, it means it's important. If someone messages me, slightly less important. Well, it's definitely less important. Someone emails me, to my mind, it's like they've sent me a letter in second-class post. I'll respond to it in days. Yeah, if you can condition yourself to do that, I think I had a tendency a while back to get back to my sellers straight away, especially on a Sunday. And I remember one seller messaging me saying, really sorry to message you on a Sunday. I was like, no, it's absolutely fine. And from then on, it was kind of like the green light for them to message me every single Sunday thereafter. But I set a rod for my own back in responding to them straight away. In doing so, there's one other app whilst we think about it that also helps me stay productive, but also helps me whilst I'm on the go as well. And it's an app that everyone will likely have on their phone. It's the Reminders app. So whilst I'm out and about, if I'm driving around and I've got something that literally pings into my mind that needs doing at some point throughout the day, I will literally just talk to Siri and tell it to set a reminder for me at a certain time when I know I'm going to be free to pick it up. And that tends to help me make sure I can tick those smaller tasks off as well. So motion for the bigger projects and bigger tasks, reminders for the smaller tasks as well, or even calls that you need to make throughout the day. Helps me keep on track. Yeah, totally agree. I actually, it sounds so simple, but so many people aren't aware. So we obviously share an office with a mortgage advisor, and I had a conversation with one of the mortgage advisors in the office the other day. In fact, I wasn't having a conversation. I went in there, I just put the phone down to someone, but I was on my way to the kitchen. So as I was walking through the office, I'm not going to do it fully because obviously it will listen to me. But I was like, Siri, remind me in 10 minutes to call so-and-so about X. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, what? Setting a reminder. Like, can you do that? I'm like, yeah, just either press the button and hold it and the little thing will pop up, or say, hey, Siri, don't do it. Yeah, it's come on. And then just tell it, set me a reminder in 10 minutes or set me a reminder Friday at 5 to 9 to call so-and-so at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because it's like you might not always be able to make that call or complete that small task straight away, but it's very easily forgotten. Yeah. Very, very easily forgotten. And your phones can be the biggest distraction, but they can also, used correctly, they can also be the biggest support and help to keeping you productive if you use them the right way.
Totally agree. Any other habits and hacks? I feel like there's a lot here. We went into this and you're like, well, I'm not sure that we're going to have a lot to talk about. But the more we go on, we're like, aha, and that.
It just reminds us, and when you start talking, and it just reminds you of some of the things that you do and some of the things that you use. Those are probably my three biggest ones, which is using your diary, whether it's Outlook or whichever diary you're looking to use. Put your personal appointments in first. Work your work diary around that, but make sure you structure and put those appointments in as if they're appointments. The Motion app, which really helps with projects and smaller tasks, and then the Reminders app for calls or very small tasks that you need to complete throughout the day. Those are the three things that really help me become more productive.
Love that. Yeah, I'm right there with you using all of those. And then obviously the little bits in the middle there that we've talked about, I think then just help with the day to day. I think the only other thing that we haven't talked about is, and I'm just getting it off of my screen, is having, for those that are watching, they'll see, for those that aren't, having a timer so that you can, I find I'm incredibly competitive. So this depends on your character type, but I think a lot of estate agents, generally speaking, will fall into that competitive category. But I'm also very competitive with myself. So setting a timer when I'm doing a task, if I've allowed myself an hour, I can see the time is ticking down, keeps my brain focused on what it is I'm doing, but it also makes me think, right, I'm going to get this done quicker. Really good example. We didn't use the timer for it, but yesterday we had a leadership meeting, didn't we, for the Avenue? And ordinarily we'll set a day aside. But yesterday we decided to mix it up and we had 4 hours together, didn't we? So we had half the time. Would you agree that in that half the day, we were probably more productive than we would have been in historic meetings where we've had a whole day?
Yeah, definitely. Put ourselves under a bit more pressure, but we work well under pressure.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's, the diamonds are formed under pressure. So when you've got all day long, it's easy to kind of just float around ideas and what have you and kind of lose your way. Again, full disclosure, that happens. Whereas yesterday, it was like, right, we are on point. We've got 4 hours. Let's get this done. And we've realized as a leadership team that actually the more pressure we apply, the better the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that time pressure, but it's Parkinson's law. The task that you complete will expand to the amount of time you give it. So if you say it's going to take me an hour to do something, you will fill the hour. But if you actually go, but what if I could do this in 45 minutes? And again, this is the competitive nature in me. Like, I'm always wanting to push the envelope to either do things better or faster. And so that's why setting a timer works really well for me personally, because I'm like, okay, I want to do this quicker than the time. Someone knocks on my door, go away, I'm on the clock. It's true.
Next leadership meeting will be 3 hours. Get it down.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get it shorter. But yeah, I think this has been a really good episode. I'm sure there's more that will come out from the woodwork as we come offline. But
there could be a part two when we start getting more ideas. I'm sure there could be a part two to this potentially.
When we really start picking at it. But I guess at the surface level, the stuff that's really in our conscious mind is what we've shared today. And it'd be interesting to hear for those listening in. Do you use any of the strategies that we've shared? Do you like the sound of any of the strategies that we've shared? Do you want to try and implement them? If you would like to try and implement them, but you're kind of like, not sure how that would work, pick up the phone to me or Jack, drop us a DM, however you want to get in touch. And equally, I'd be keen to hear from anyone if you've got any like little hacks when you're really starting to think about it, little habits that are part of your day that help you keep on track, that help you create the perfectly repeatable week. So, drop us a comment, whether you're watching this on YouTube, listening in on Spotify or Apple, watching us in the Facebook group. Be keen to hear your thoughts. But until next time, I think we got more out of that, Jack, than you expected.
It's been a good one. Yeah, a little bit longer than I thought it would be.
Brilliant. Mate, I look forward to speaking to you again on this soon.
See you soon.